Hey there, happy day. I want to sing today. I don't know why, because I'm in a good mood. I am wearing my curlers, which is ridiculous, but I get to go, I have to go out. I get to get out of my pajamas. I actually have to get out of my pajamas and go out in public today, hanging out with one of my favorite people in the whole wide world. So that's always a good day. Not even work related. Yay, not even supersizing my business related. But I thought the curlers were a little fitting too, because today I want to talk about the ugly truth, the actual real truth that nobody's probably going to tell you about your business. They're definitely not going to tell you to your face. And it's so important that you get this and that you actually hear this truth that I am going to tell you, because I remember when I discovered this truth. And I was actually I was building my first it wasn't the first business I'd built, but I was really trying to grow and supersize an Italian food manufacturing business. And as part of that, I found myself standing in the middle of the frozen food aisle I'd been there about 6 hours at this point. I was freezing, absolutely freezing. One thing I did learn doing store demos in the frozen food department, that if you took a little heater with you and plugged it in behind you and had it blow on your feet, you weren't so cold the whole time. But it's not fun standing in the frozen food section handing out samples of your product for 8 hours at a time. Actually, it was kind of fun, but not always fun, because there would be exciting times and then boring lull times. It was in one of these lull times, and I just had a really nice discussion earlier in the day with a gentleman who talked about doing some kind of a partnership or doing some kind of a joint venture together with our businesses. And I realized that the thought popped into my head. I was getting all kinds of negative thoughts and resistance to it, because I was thinking that if I did that, I would have to work harder and I'd have to find more time to figure out how to make that happen. Now, that's the actual first time I remember that thought coming to me consciously. I remember thinking that thought and thinking, well, where did that come from? Because would I really have to work harder? Well, no. Would I have to change around some things I was doing and change my priorities? Yes. But I realized that I had been doing this and thinking that underneath the surface for a long time. And it was impacting the decisions I was making for the business, the choices I was making, the opportunities I would look at and I would even consider were all being colored by this belief that if I grew my business, I would have to work harder and longer. And at that time, I was exhausted. I was already working 7 days a week, usually 12 to 14 hours a day, and still trying to, be a mom and a decent mom and take care of my kids and my spouse. And I was exhausted. I was maybe sleeping 4 hours a night. And so that thought and that belief had just snuck into it was obviously living in my subconscious for a long, long time, but it bubbled to the surface. And I was amazed that I was thinking that, because instead of seeing the situation as the huge opportunity that it was, I was coloring it, and I was actually building reasons up in my mind to say no to it, because I thought I would have to work harder. And that was my first brush with the ugly truth of supersizing my business and growing my business. But once I realized that, I started looking into other false beliefs that I had that were impacting my ability to grow my business. And I realized that I was the biggest bottleneck in supersizing my business. Me, the owner. Ouch, right? Major ego hurt from realizing that. But it also made me realize that the quickest, fastest, easiest way to supersize my business was either, number one, to grow and expand and make my beliefs possible, that anything is possible, because anything is possible for my business and for your business too, or get out of the way. Just get the hell out of the way and let the baby grow without me. Let the baby walk. Every time he or she falls down, you don't have to pick them up. You don't have to control everything. And that just opened the floodgates of my business and the growth of my business, because I got out of the way and I started to study and understand and change my limiting beliefs, and realize actually how much of an impact my mindset as the owner, my thoughts, my beliefs had on the ability of the business to grow. All of our businesses have infinite possibility. It's usually just us that gets in the way with us not believing something's possible. And that's complete and utter BS because anything is possible. So today, the ugly truth, it's going to be hard, but I want you to ask yourself, today's action stuff is to ask yourself, what is the one thing that I have the biggest problem with or the biggest personal challenge with in growing and supersizing my business? And, just ask yourself that question and then see what pops up. Or say something to yourself like, I can't supersize my business because blank. And then just write down the things that come up. Because those are clues and to your beliefs. And our beliefs aren't right or wrong. They just are what they are. But if we have conflicting beliefs and mindset challenges that are not helping us get to where we want to go, guess what? We're not going to get to where we want to go. Whoa. I guess we're going to have a thunder and lightning storm. I just saw lightning flash and a big crash. That's the ugly truth. Obviously, I'm a little nervous about thunderstorms. So ask yourself that question today. That's it. Go out, have a fantastic day, and realize that just because we're the bottleneck doesn't mean we have to stay the bottleneck. The Jam Gram out. Bye.